This weekend, we hit the road to Milwaukee and recap our exciting weekend at the Midwest Gaming Classic. I'm Ryan,
I'm Andy.
and this is Weekend Rental, episode 201. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode. Andy, long time no see.
Yeah, only just a few days.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, we just got back from Milwaukee, the Midwest Gaming Classic 2025. Andy was there with his family, and so was I, and it was quite the show. I think they keep setting attendance records, and boy does it show, because wow, was Saturday busy.
Yeah, it's getting bigger too. I mean, they're making more space even, and they're still filling every crevice.
Yeah, that space on the main floor with the board game, like tabletop space, like that was like double to triple the size that it normally is. And I walked through there on Saturday, and every table was full.
Yeah, and remember, like they used to do that kind of in the corner of the vendor hall, if I
Yeah,
remember right. And
yeah,
like nobody was there. There was maybe like two guys playing Magic or something, right?
yep.
Barely anybody did anything. And now, yeah, they have just a giant ballroom, and it's full of people. It's crazy what they're like throwing at the wall, and everything is sticking for them.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I didn't even discover some of the stuff on the main floor until Saturday, which is my last day there. And then that's where I found like the maker room, and then there's some of that other stuff down there, like a weird vendor tucked away in the basement, and then a coffee booth, which I was like, oh, I wish I'd have known they had coffee here like 2 days ago. But yeah, pretty wild. I did hit it just right so that like I passed through on Saturday when the Voodoo Ranger room was like handing out unlimited free samples from like 4 to 6. So I
Oh,
popped in and had a couple little hits of IPA, so that was all right.
yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, the big draw, like we've talked about, with the way that this show has grown, and as people who like to enjoy the arcades and the pinball, I mean, Friday to me at this point, if that's your thing, if you're not going on Friday, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because the show has just gotten so busy. There's so many people. That's really, I feel like, the only time you can truly uh enjoy the new arcades and the pinball. And not everything's set up, but the vast majority of it is. And it's still reasonable crowd sizes, especially for the first half of, I think, that evening.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're there right away at 5 o'clock or whatever, there's nobody there, and you can pick whatever you want to play. And yeah, when you think about that in contrast of like Saturday afternoon
Oh
of that
god.
same room,
Yeah.
it's kind of unbelievable that there's that much disparity.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason I even got to play Evil Dead Pinball, was because that was the first machine I walked across on Friday when I went in. And that they had they had four of those tables, and they had lines, like even from about like 10 o'clock on Friday night, but for sure on Saturday, like it was queued up like 5 or 6 people deep if you wanted to play around to that. Like it was nuts.
Yeah. I'm kicking myself because I didn't stand in line too deep
Yeah.
on that just to play it on Friday. And yeah, never got around to actually playing it.
Yeah. I loved that table. Genuinely like great table. And like the fact that Bruce had lines recorded for it, and he just kind of like antagonizes you like the whole time you're playing. But I think my fear with that table as like a consumer, like if you're gonna buy that thing, because it's got like a $10,000 price tag, like I don't know that I've seen another pinball table that has that many moving parts, because literally everything in that thing is motorized, and there's a million things. So I just can't imagine the maintenance. Plus, it's got like the play field within the play field, which is cool. I just, pinball is notorious. Like if you're a pinball collector, the first thing you need to learn is soldering. So,
Right. Yeah.
I just can't imagine.
And probably 3D printing at this point too.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really cool table. What were the other new ones? They had the Looney Tune ones too that Spooky Pinball brought. I didn't play that. X-Men, we both played that.
I really like that table.
I really liked it
Um,
too.
that's there's a the gimmick of that is it's got like a little side pinball table to the left
Yeah.
that if you're lucky enough to get it on into that area, which is pretty tricky to do, you have to hit a bumper on just the right spot to bounce it in there. And yeah, that's it's pretty cool to just have another mini little play area on the side. And yeah, having one thing that goes one object that kind of takes damage. If you hit it enough times, that sentinel starts like
Oh yeah.
losing bits off of them, which is
Yep.
a really cool, neat thing. And obviously, it's pretty overall pretty easy multi-ball because it is such a big target, and that's that and the D&D target. I'll say is the biggest thing on it is the multi. I mean, the biggest target on it produces a multi-ball. So more often than not, you're going to get a multi-ball in that game. So
Hmm.
that's always fun.
Yeah, and I really liked the speed of like the rails too in the X-Men one. Like it was so fast and smooth. I thought that was really cool. The D&D one was the other big new one, I guess. Obviously there was a new Metallica one, but I didn't care for the D&D one as much just because I thought the rule set was like there were so many rules and it was super convoluted. Like you know what I mean? Like there's something to be said about learning how to play the pinball table, but it was just there was so much stuff. And I felt like my other complaint with that D&D one was just like there were a lot of objects at different levels. So it was pretty easy to have your ball kind of disappear on the play field, which can make it tough.
Yeah, and not know where it's going to drop down. Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I think if you were going to own that game, you would probably be super appreciative
Sure.
of what it's trying to do. I mean, it's kind of layering on a whole video game on top of it because there's a lot to do and there's leveling up and I still don't know if I grasped everything it was doing.
Hmm.
Um, but it sure seemed complex in what it was trying to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a little dim too. Was maybe my other complaint. I'm sure there's different
Mm,
light modes too, but once they dim the lights on the show floor, it's just like wasn't very lit up. But yeah, I think Evil Dead was the winner for me as far as pinball this year, but definitely a strong second was that X-Men one.
hmm.
Um, yeah, it was interesting too to see like the mix of some of the old tables they brought back. Like you said, like it was weird. The Jaws was the new table last year, but they didn't have a single table there. But
Yeah.
Godzilla made it back, Foo Fighters made it back, but I didn't see Rush, I didn't see Aerosmith, I didn't see the Led Zeppelin. So a
I did
lot of
see
that
one
stuff.
Rush
Oh,
in
did you?
Arcade, maybe, I think it was.
Okay.
They maybe had one in there, but
But
yeah,
not with the stern display.
no.
I suppose
They
at some
did
point they sell that stuff off, right? I mean, that is their business, I guess.
yeah. But I mean, they had Stranger Things, and that one's been
Yeah.
out for a while now.
Which I did not like that table. I thought it was just it has some cool mechanics, but it's all just very centrally focused around keeping the ball in the middle of the playfield,
Yeah.
which I don't know.
I like the gimmick of it, but yeah, you're right. It's very much like there's one thing that you're hitting.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really cool with like sort of that like projection, like drive-in kind of screen
Mm,
that you uses like a bumper to like knock down. I mean, it's pretty cool. I've not seen that in a table before. I just
yeah.
found myself getting bored with the whole table pretty quick. And then I don't know, did you play any of those like rhythm games like up in the Japanese section? There were a couple new ones. There was one where it was like kind of like DDR, not DDR, but like Guitar Hero, but it was like a keyboard, but it was just like where you placed your hand, and then it had like sensors on the sides. So when it expected you to like lift off the notes, you'd like hold your hand in
Yeah.
place and then drop it down. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. The sensor in those things it's crazy how that works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one. Got a couple
The,
rounds of Capcom bowling in too, which is always great.
oh, yeah. The Mickey Mouse DDR was really weird.
Oh, I didn't even play that one.
So that was kids played that for a little bit, and it's all like really old, like Mary Poppins stuff, like transformed into like electronica DDR music. And
Interesting.
it's Chip and Dale basically dancing on the screen. It's pretty cute. Um yeah. Overall there wasn't anything. Usually that area is where one really cool thing,
Yeah.
and they didn't have a really cool new one, I thought. The Mario and Sonic Olympic game one, I've not seen that before, and
Oh,
that's
I've played that at Dave and
interesting.
Buster, but I've never seen it there.
Okay.
Yeah. I never did get to play that like kind of experimental portal table because that had a line like
Yeah,
the
that
whole
was
time.
crazy.
And I really wanted to play it, but I was just not gonna wait. I did like the Atari booth. They were open Friday night just for selling stuff, but on Saturday they had like some playable kiosks for their whatever like the reimagined ones are. So I was doing some of that
Mhm.
missile command and stuff, which those are really fun, but it's just like you're fundamentally selling me the same game from my childhood, but asking me for like physically at least like $30. And I take issue with you selling me Missile Command for that price from my Switch or you know what I mean? I know you like
Yeah.
can digitally get that stuff for like $10, but I don't know.
Yeah, even like the asteroids one, it's like you just turned up the neon on the
Right.
vector graphics, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. And so I mean it's not inherently a bad game. It just feels like a bad value to me
Yeah.
is my problem. I don't know. Yeah, you know I don't know what my thoughts were on Friday night. Like I had a really good time. Like I brought my nephew along this year, so that changed the dynamic a little. Usually it's just me and my son running around, but then I had those two palling around too and doing some stuff. We played some multiplayer games together, but I feel like I explored less. I mean, I stayed the whole time till midnight. You were there too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know we branched off at one point towards the end, but like I feel like I did less. I don't know why that is, but
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I probably played less pinball this time. The
sure.
last time, few times that was I really made a point to play a lot of that. But yeah, I kind of went all over the place and did spent a lot more time in the museum, which
Yeah.
is not I haven't done in a long time really because it's been a lot of the same stuff. They were doing some interesting stuff there where it was like version differences. Like it would be like Street Fighter versus Street Fighter on like Sega versus Super Nintendo and stuff. They would have it right next to each other.
Oh, sure.
So they had a whole row of that type of thing. It was kind of interesting to just
To
play
see
them
the
back to back.
nuances. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. We did some of like the well, my son always wants to play that Team Fortress, which is where we ran into each other the first time because you sat down and were playing with next to me for like 2 minutes before I realized it was you because I was not paying attention. And then we did that baseball thing later on in the night, 16 player baseball
Yeah.
on Game Boy. That was pretty. I mean, technically, it's very cool. It's not the most enjoyable game, but
No,
it's pretty
no,
cool.
it's a feat that they've accomplished.
Yes,
you know,
I agree.
the the question can be asked why later, but
Yeah,
yeah, it was I but I tell you what, Saturday I played basically nothing.
right.
Anything that was open, I let my kids or my wife play. So it was more of a kind of a sharing day. So Friday is absolutely essential for me to get any grasp on what's going on
Yeah,
gaming wise.
I'd agree. I don't think I really played much of anything on Saturday, because yeah, like the big draws obviously like get it into the vendor hall, but when you don't really like actively collect or add to your collection anymore, like there isn't much of a draw there for me. My kids didn't even like get into it as much other than my son buying like a bunch of Pokemon stuff. Like usually my daughter goes for like the cutesy crafty stuff. And there was sort of like there was a lot of that, but there was less of it, or like not new stuff. There were definitely less video game vendors than anything. Like it was probably 50-50, like tchotchkes, you know,
Oh yeah.
cards or crafts versus video game vendors, which is kind of wild to see. Um, and then yeah, it was just so many people. Like I usually you can get in, a good pass or so, but like I feel like I didn't even really get to see what most people were selling because it was just asses and elbows. You just could not get in there. And then, by the time we wrapped our morning, of running around the vendor hall, you usually don't get over to the arcade at least until the afternoon. And that didn't really happen for me because you and we got our families together to meet up and go to our favorite place, Doc's. And then we were going to meet at 1:30. Like I got there a little ahead so we could get them, you know, on the waiting list for a table. And then a 20-minute wait turned into a 50-minute wait. And then they still couldn't seat us at a table, which again, we talked about like there was 10 of us. There's no reason they couldn't have like slid a couple chairs on or moved the table over. But then we proceeded to order, and it was another full hour before we got our food. So I don't think we left Doc's on Saturday until almost 4. It was probably like
Yeah.
3:40, 3:45. And by that point, like my wife and daughter and even my nephew and son, they were over it. Like I went back with you because we went and talked with it's Rocket Sauce, which is great to talk to him in person. But like
Yeah.
my family was done with MGC because of docs pretty much. Like that killed the whole day. So like they came back and found me and then wanted to leave immediately. And then I went with them and then I was like, I gotta at least go back for a little bit. So I basically spent 1 hour on the show floor myself, just wandering around. And then I was out of there by 6. So
Really? Yeah.
yeah, it just killed me. It just killed the whole day, it's disappointing on so many levels. Like one, like I love that restaurant, or I did, and then like to have that experience be that bad, and then just to like throw off the whole flow of the day, and then keep in mind that we had dinner reservations that night for 7:30. So when you don't get done eating your lunch until 4, nobody's hungry. So we basically went full stomach to a dinner reservation.
Yeah.
So
And when you go to a different city, you pay a lot of money to get tickets to this thing.
yeah,
Time is the most valuable thing.
100%.
And yeah, Docs really took advantage of our time, I think, on that because
Yeah.
there's, like you said, the waiting, there was multiple tables open
Hmm.
where we sat anyway. We could have been there long before we sat. And then, yeah, our order never got in.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing is like clearly the order didn't get in because it's a barbecue business, which means that everything was slow smoked and cooked the day before. Like, and our kids ordered like mac and cheese. Like,
Yeah.
the hardest part of our order should have been slopping it onto a plate. Like, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was nice to get the time to like chit chat, but then like all of our kids were just losing their goddamn minds by the
Yeah.
time we were anywhere near getting food, which is completely understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed. Like, if it was a little bit of a wait, then it's like whatever. But that was pretty egregious. And it kind of is pretty soured me on docs overall
Yeah,
now.
I actually don't think I'll go back next year. If
Because
I
yeah, I just don't know if I can trust
right,
spending my time with them, you know?
right. When that and then you get that Third Street Market Hall, which we took our sons to and my nephew on Friday night, which is just as close, and you had a million options and was actually like surprisingly fast this year, which was great.
Hmm.
Like you pop in, everybody gets what they want, and then you leave and you come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd much rather do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did the rest of your Saturday look like then? Did you guys hang around for quite a while after we ate, or
Yeah. I think we did some more gaming. That we checked out some of the rooms. My son really gravitated back to the Cursed Halo, and that was
yeah,
just busy. You could never get onto that thing again.
yep,
Um, yeah, kind of did the games again. Couldn't really do much in there. My wife she got sat down on the PlayStation 4 in the museum, and they just so had Overcooked running on that.
oh,
So that turned into basically the rest of the day. They sat on that the entire time, and
nice,
they sat down and said, "I'm not playing that. I don't play that with you guys anymore. I just get yelled at."
yep,
And so I kept going down, and I was probably like halfway down the row away from them. and I can just hear my wife yelling at the kid, "Mia, what are you doing? No, the beef, get the beef." So yeah, it's dodged a bullet on that. Um, and then eventually I got up, I said, I'm gonna go in the vendor hall for a while. And they just stayed there and played Overcooked
That's
the rest of the
awesome.
night pretty much. But yeah, the vendor hall even was my kids usually try and find something to buy. And
Yep.
the past few years it's kind of defaulted to Pokemon cards, but that stuff is I just can't have a good conscience of them spending 4 times the amount on what they should be, like
Right.
retail prices on that stuff. So I tried to dissuade them on that. My son bought a Pokemon comforter, so we had to haul that around all day, which was kind of entertaining to watch him. And yeah, my daughter got uh, some artsy, like a notebook and a pen or whatever,
Sure.
crafty stuff. Um, and then my other son got Splatoon 3, so
Oh, nice. You did find a
we were all
copy.
set on that.
Did you get a good deal on
Yeah,
that? Like used?
it wasn't bad. Yeah, it was. I think it
Yeah.
was $30 or something like
Oh
that.
yeah. That's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah, that's
But
kind of what my family did too, is just a couple things minus the Pokemon cards. So did you guys make it to 8 o'clock then on Saturday?
it was pretty close. I think we left a little bit before that,
Okay.
but it was pretty much time to get out of there anyway.
Did you talk to Terry at his booth at all, or
No, I didn't really get over that way again.
yeah.
Yeah, the video game stuff, well, especially his, is so hard to even
So
get into
tight.
where he's at.
Yeah.
Um, but even like a lot of the video game stuff, I kind of just peered and looked at stuff just to get a sense. Like I'm not even looking for anything anymore, so I don't
Right.
really look through stuff that much. But just to get a sense of stuff, you see the little Samson that's $5,000 and stuff like that, and I noticed PlayStation 2 stuff is kind of getting ridiculous
Yeah.
in the last few years. So that's interesting to know.
Yeah. I didn't really look at much either. My biggest problem is like if I was going to add anything, it'd be to the NES or the Jaguar. And I, ever since that Pat Contreras app shit the bed on me, like I just haven't had a good inventory on what I have for NES.
Mm,
And I couldn't remember what I had Jaguar wise, because I'm at the point where like if it's a Jaguar game I don't have, it's going to be a few $100. But I like to buy boxes when I can get them, and I just could not remember what I had boxed and what I didn't. And now looking at my collection, I probably could have added 3 to 4 boxed games
oh, really?
that I
I
have
didn't
on
see any.
cartridge. There was probably like 5 booths that had them.
Okay.
But yeah, I could have gotten like some of the easy stuff, like the Club Drive and like the pinball one. I could have upgraded, but again, I don't have to do that. It's just kind of, if I can add to that collection, I will. But yeah, I didn't dive deep into any of that stuff either. And with that's usually my big Saturday thing. And with the family losing steam on it, I was just like, well, I can be done too. But yeah, it was nice
Yep.
on Saturday to run into to Ryan and kind of chat with him in person
Hmm.
after doing the podcast a while back.
Meet
So it
him
was
in
cool.
person for the first time.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And it was weird because like usually I run into a few other like old YouTube buddies that are just happen to be on the floor, but I didn't. I mean, granted, insanely busy, like stupid busy. And
Mm.
we both are chasing kids, but like usually I'll bump into somebody and say hi. And I don't think I saw anybody else. I think I saw Justin from Business 17 like walking by at one point, but just like I'm not gonna go bug people. And I didn't even get to talk to the guys, games and beer people this year. Like I was in and out a couple times, but never really ran into anybody when they were free. So
Well,
there's
and that's the thing. They're thinking they're not even free. They're not free
right.
there anymore. You know.
Yeah, they're so busy and their room is so big. And I mean it's well set up. I mean, it was great, like you said, that cursed Halo, just to be able to sit down for a little bit and play something.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's gotten like to the point with me where the shows, and I don't want to dog on it because it's still like an amazing weekend, but like it's pretty formulaic and like I've experienced a lot of it. So it's like the show just feels like been there, done that for me at this point. So like it's tough when the family is kind of like, I'm done and I don't want to go back. It's like, okay, well, I'll concede, I guess. Like, I don't need to hang out there any longer either.
Hmm. And half of it is because you're showing them the show too, you know?
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And it was so many people. It was just so, I never did see Nintendo. Like, I swear I thought Nintendo was going to have a booth there, but they did not, at least as far as I could tell.
Hmm.
But yeah, nothing like wildly new this year. Like, it was kind of what you'd expect, which is a great show. Some good panels. The wrestling was back. That the food court layout was much better this year in the vendor hall area. Like that whole layout actually was really good this year. I still feel like some of that stuff gets lost in the sauce by like putting it back on sides and stuff. And the whole like metal detector security staging at the start or the entrance of the Baird Center this year was kind of a real pain in the ass. Like there were some big lines out the door. Like if you're trying to get in there
Hmm.
early, I understand it. Like it's a good safety measure, but really like a congestion issue, especially in the morning. Because like we left and wanted to go in and out a couple times to drop some stuff off, and then like you're waiting in lines just to get back in.
Oh, yeah.
So did you buy anything?
What did I buy? We went to a shop a few days before and we bought the Bowser, the fire breathing Bowser that you recommended
Ah, yes.
for my youngest son. So he was been pretty excited about that. And then at the show, I think I bought one board game, which we
Okay.
haven't played yet. But
Yeah. I bought a couple signs, 3D printed signs, and then a sweatshirt, and then I had a couple of those NES games from 2023 pre-ordered. So I wasn't much of a big spender. And then I got a free book, I guess, because I was one of the first 100 people in line to
oh,
redeem tickets. But so yeah, pretty
yeah,
light year. I do like the hoodie though, the whole MTV logo. I got them
yeah,
wearing it right now. So
yep, that's pretty good. We're trying to decide. So next year, I'm going to be probably bringing my fourth kid.
hmm
So we're not really depending on other people to watch, kind of taking their time. Do we stay for Sunday now too? I
sure.
don't know. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, it could be worth it. It's just, are you going to pull the kids out of school an extra day and drive back
Right.
Monday? The talk on our drive home was the girls aren't sure they want to go next year. So
Oh,
it's like, well, you turn it into a boys' trip. And like me driving solo with my son for 8 hours. So it's like I'm on the fence.
yeah.
I got to see what my nephew wants to do, if he wants to come back or not. He's like so quiet, you can't tell if he had fun or not.
Yeah.
We don't want to just take him though because it's his junior year in high school, and I figured he's probably not going to want to skip out his senior year and miss some track
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
and then he'll be in college and won't care. But yeah, it's very
Right.
up in the air in my house. And I told my wife, I was like, well, I'm already gonna if I'm going, I'm already gonna have the hotel. Like you guys might as well come. But yeah, and I guess it's the 25th anniversary of the show next year. I
Oh.
saw, so I'm guessing they'll probably do some cool stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know what next year's going to look like for us. I don't think it would include extending to Sunday again, but
Yeah.
I don't know if any of us will go or if the whole group will make it. So,
Sure. So, I mean, one thing with that we've been trying to do is go to an actual board game convention. But and I kind of see how this might fill that hole, but at the same time, I don't know if I want all my kids with. I was more picturing just me and my wife going to one of those. So I don't know. That's where I'm kind of on the fence with Sunday, where it's like, well, maybe Sunday fits that, and gets a little bit more room around it. I don't. It's been years since I know what a Sunday looks like there. I always remember them packing up at like noon, but maybe
yeah.
things changed.
Yeah, it was always kind of hit or miss. Like it seemed like some vendors and some of the people in the arcades started packing up early. Yeah, because I'm trying to think like might have been before the pandemic was the last time I stayed for a Sunday.
Hmm.
It's been a long time. Yeah, Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, I still love the show. Like I know I'm very low energy right now because I also caught like an amazing cold coming back from MGC. Because like go figure, if you touch like filthy fucking video games and consoles that like 10,000 people have been playing, you're gonna come back with something. So I basically was like out yesterday and I worked from home today, just like on the struggle bus. So I don't mean to sound not enthusiastic about MGC. I still think it's a fantastic show. I had some issues with some of the things that happened this year, but they mostly weren't around MGC itself. It was just things that played into my weekend, but um still really love the show. I just don't know what next year's going to look like for us.
Hmm.
We'll see. I say this though a lot and then we always just end up all going anyway, so
My
who
one
knows.
son was very sad that it was over.
Really?
He said it was the best weekend ever, so he was pretty sad to have to go back to school the next day.
Yeah, and that's always the thing with my son too, is he just loves it so much. Like that's the only reason we even went this year was just because like the kids were just asking and asking and
Hmm.
asking about it. So not that I wouldn't, if I skip a year, it's not like I'm never going to come back. I could skip a year and probably be okay. I think. Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Like I said, more than likely, I'm sure I'll end up going again. So, what was your like? So, if we're gonna have to do like a buy, rent, burn, or like you know top item from the show, what was it for you?
I I I I really like that X-Men pinball machine. I think that's
Sure.
probably the coolest thing I saw there, I would say.
Yeah, that one's really good. I mean, I have to go Evil Dead because I love Evil Dead anyway, and it was a fantastic pinball table. I'm glad I got. I probably put 3 consecutive games in, and just really loved it. Can't wait to see more of that one. Hopefully, I get one locally. Somebody brings one in, but we'll see. There's a few places in town where there's a club that brings in pinball games, so maybe it'll turn up at one of my breweries in town that has arcades or pinball set up. So
And
yeah,
l- let's do some advertising. Somebody, we need people to buy the Death Ball arcade cabinet,
yes,
so he gets to that
it will
number.
release it on console.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like a honorable mention has to go to Deathball because Deathball continues to be the greatest like 2V arcade cabinet, and he's been there every year. And every year I ask him if he's going to bring it to consoles, and he's always like, "No, I want to get through the first 100 cabinets." I'm like,
It's
"It's
been
been
like
like
10
7
years. Yeah.
years." Yeah. And then like I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "Well, I feel like I have to do a single player mode." I was like, "Okay, like maybe, but also, do you? Because
Yeah.
Killer Queen came to consoles and didn't.
Yeah.
I think if that thing was on Steam for $10, it would sell a million copies.
Hmm.
If it was on there for 5, it would sell a bajillion. I don't know. It's a great couch co-op game that should be on consoles. That is just not.
Yeah. I mean, it really is perfect. It's pretty bare bones for what it is. I mean, obviously
Right.
graphically and everything, but everything around it, like the slow motion stuff, and it just there's so
Yeah,
much
the
that's perfected in what it is.
yes. Yeah, there's a lot of depth and nuance to that game if you look for it. Yeah, great game. A big hit with us again this year. It's crazy that one ninja game has never come back. The one with the wheel, what was that called?
Oh yeah, that one was
Like
cool.
Katana something, I forget. Like that was really neat. Yeah. Well, another year of MGC. What a show.
We didn't talk about your Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, I guess we could touch on that. Well, like I mentioned before, I had dinner reservations, which our dinner reservations were basically ruined, as I mentioned, by docs because nobody was effing hungry at all. We'd eaten 3 hours earlier, but we went to that what was it called, Spy House or Safe House. So it's like an espionage themed, Cold War spy era kind of setup of a restaurant, sort of like a speakeasy sort of thing too. So yeah, like I recommend taking your kids there and experiencing it once. Like I don't know if I need to go back, but it's really cool. Like the restaurant is located down an alley. It's unmarked. And you just have to use like Google Maps to basically like, find the alley, and then you find like a door with Russian wording on it, and you walk in, and it's like this tiny little enclosed room with like a person sitting in there. and then they just like ask you if you know the passwords. And for us, we knew it. We all knew it. Um, so my wife, he gets the password for my wife and I. He's like, you can proceed. And then like a bookshelf just like disappears and there's like a hallway. And you walk down that like through like it feels like almost like a meat locker tunnel. Then you get to the end of that and like two fucking doors open and like all of a sudden you're in like the speakeasy like full of people and
Wow,
stuff.
that's cool.
But then the best part is like yeah, there's a camera on that room. So like they'll interrogate you, I'm air quoting interrogate you if you don't know the password. So then that they're broadcasting that feed all over the restaurant. So then there's my kids and he made them like do a hoedown basically. It was like playing music for them. They're like dancing before they could get through and pass the quiz. And yeah, pretty neat. The food is we were in Nate there too. He said the food was awful. I don't know if it was awful. It wasn't fantastic. It was maybe slightly below average. It was serviceable, and it's like basically an Applebee's menu. Um, but yeah, you can kind of explore the restaurant. There's like different decorations and like little nooks and crannies. It's kind of like a weird layout. But then, yeah, when you're done, like they have the whole party like enter a phone booth and shut the door on you. And then the phone rings and like you're given instructions as to what code to enter. And then a mystery wall again like slides out and you're like basically like going through like a basement tunnel to exit through the rear of this building. Like, it's kind of a pretty cool experience. And then there's a worker out in the alley where this tunnel like dumped you out into, and he like jump scared the shit out of my kids. It was pretty awesome. He was laughing his ass off. Yeah, I don't know, like it's cool. It's a cool experience, especially if you're not gonna like give the kids too much info on it. I don't know if I'd have to go back, but
Yeah.
yeah, worth checking out once. It would have been better if I hadn't if I'd been if any of us had been remotely hungry at all, it would have been better. Even my nephew, who will like just pack down food all day because he's like a 17-year-old dude, like only ate like half of his cheeseburger. So
Jeez,
that's
yeah.
telling you something. But yeah, pretty cool. I will say like they don't do the best job of like to me if you're gonna do something like that, like you gotta be good at something, right? Like either sticking with the theme or your food's gotta be phenomenal. We already know the food wasn't great, and then the staff also doesn't really like play the part so much. Like
Oh,
even the dude in the entryway is just like in a t-shirt. It's like I don't want to go to one of those restaurants where they're like obnoxious about it, but you should be playing like that you're undercover agents and stuff like a little more.
yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
Like embrace that a little bit, but
So there wasn't like an escape room esque type puzzle or anything you're supposed to be doing while you're in there?
there's
Or?
this there's a scavenger hunt and stuff that you
Okay.
can do in there, but that's about it.
Okay.
And it's basically just yeah, just like imagine like a Applebee's or something, but if just everything was like spy themed, right? So it's like
Hmm.
tchotchkes on the wall and yeah.
Hmm.
Really it's the entrance and the exit that are like the super cool part. Everything else is just kind of like whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. It was nice to try something new. Because normally I would go back to Docs again, but that wasn't I'm glad that didn't happen this year. Did you guys go back to the Third Street Market then on Saturday?
No. Where did we eat Saturday? I'm drawing an absolute blank. We were gonna go somewhere right next to the hotel, and I don't. Oh, we went to a Smoothie King,
Oh.
which I never knew what that is, and
Is that a chain?
yeah, apparently they make smoothies. And then yeah, there was just a Jimmy John's nearby, so we just went there.
Nice.
Nothing,
Nice.
nothing crazy. There was
Oh.
no password to
Well,
get into Jimmy John's.
that's good. Yeah. Well, I think with MGC out of the way, we have to talk about the other news, which is a little bit late now, but it happened after we recorded and before we got back from our trip, and that was like the details on the Switch 2. Um, I guess we've had a little more time to kind of mull that stuff over since it happened on the second, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? My summary is that I'm not sure I'm sold on this thing at launch for sure.
Right. Um, I mean, eventually, it's you're gonna get it, right? It's the Nintendo
Right.
machine. Um, However, it does have some. I have a flashback to when I bought a 3DS for $250, And
Right.
months later, it was all of a sudden $179.
Right.
It feels a lot like that Nintendo right now.
It kind of does. And I feel like they're gonna have some struggle outside of the diehards with selling this thing because it is it's that same problem the 3DS had where it's just too similar and the perceived value isn't there for like a casual person, right?
Right. Well, yeah, even less. I mean, the 3D, they were selling the 3D. Like, I mean, they were selling
Yeah,
a gimmick, which was a cool gimmick when it came out. Whereas what is the 3DS? I mean, the mouse or the Switch 2 have the mouse. I mean, that's not,
right.
I don't know.
Which I don't know how many games are going to utilize that, to
Right.
be quite honest. Outside of first party Nintendo, probably not many.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be shocked if like other person shooters and stuff have that like mapped and built in, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I mean, some people seem fine with the price point. I thought 450. I mean, it is the most expensive Nintendo console ever. That is a fact.
Probably even with inflation.
Obviously, yeah, obviously they buffered in some extra there. Like analysts had thought, the 450 price point in the US was to, you know, deal with potential tariffs and stuff. Which all of that has since blown up. And we now in the US no longer have pre orders going live on the 9th, thanks to our illustrious leader. And, he's going to be taxing supposedly or tariffing China at 104% as of midnight. So God knows what that stuff's going to cost us, which is so stupid in every possible way. But I mean, that's a whole other topic. But it is going to throw a wrench in the launch of this console. And then the other thing that kind of got me and got people talking too is, you know, my biggest argument with this thing is the only heavy hitter they have at launch is that Mario Party World, or I mean, a Mario Kart World, which looks interesting. It almost looks like more of like a cruising world style game
Mm-hmm.
than a traditional lap based. But the thing is like they're asking 80 for that right off the bat. The most expensive Switch game we got was Tears of the Kingdom, and that was 70. Which I mean, did it have to be? And now if 80 is the new standard, but then that Donkey Kong game isn't going to be 80.
Yeah, that was
So why
70.
is Mario Kart?
Yeah. I wouldn't think Mario Kart has the development that, the
Yeah,
development budget that something, I mean, obviously the Donkey Kong one, it's pretty clearly uh piggybacking off of whatever was done on Mario Odyssey. I mean, it's the same engine and all
yeah,
that. So
yep,
there's probably not as much budget into that as either compared to like a Zelda, where the first Breath of the Wild, that was probably a very intensive development.
yeah, yeah. So that's a head scratcher. The other head scratcher to me was Nintendo finally like, aha, we're solving voice chat without an app. But they've essentially just made Zoom
Yeah.
for the console, which okay, fine if you want to do video chats, but also then you're giving everyone in your chat real estate on your screen and then minimizing your playfield, which is the most idiotic solution.
But you
And
get
then
to
the
see
fact that
their gameplay at like 3 frames a second.
yeah, I was gonna say it looked like shit. Like it looked like you had no idea what was going on. But you can only like see the person if you then buy like a standalone camera that also like you're not gonna take that portably, right? So I just don't understand it. And then like they're saying like, well, the mic built into the Switch will pick up your voice clearly, even in a household of no. I'm like, I don't I don't think that's gonna work as well as you think, or you're
Hmm.
selling us on Nintendo. And also just the form factor of it is terrible. Like, Jesus Christ, like Discord. Put Discord on your fucking console, like every other console, like everyone else has solutioned this.
Yep.
It's the most Nintendo ass approach to voice chat possible.
Yeah, it is crazy that they take something like Discord and then they pretty much do it, make their own version, and then say, "Oh, we did this. It's ours."
Right.
It's like, no.
No,
why didn't you just yeah,
right.
I
Do
don't
the thing that everyone already has.
yeah.
Plus, this doesn't solve crossplay. You know what does? Discord. Discord works great when we're playing with people on other
Yep.
consoles on current systems. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, Sea of Thieves, you're on PC. Fraser's on PS5. Like, we're all on Discord,
Yep.
and it's great. And Discord doesn't have to be the only answer. I mean, this is fine to have their answer too, but offer it. Um, yeah, that just irritated me. Also, the fact that that's behind the paywall of Nintendo Switch
Mhm.
Online is pretty gross too. Is that going to apply for, well, like Fortnite and stuff that's free to play? But Fortnite will almost certainly have its own integrated chat app, right?
Yeah.
And this probably doesn't have to work with every game.
And it's the fact that it's tied to a button on a controller too. Like that's
Yes.
where it's like, oh, okay. It's one thing to be like the HD Rumble thing where it's like it's out of sight, out of mind type of thing,
Yeah.
gimmicky. But yeah, this is
And then I think the other questionable thing, at least to me from the presentation, was just like we're gonna offer upgrades for certain games, and then
mm,
like you'll be able to buy upgrade packs, and the whole Metroid Prime 4 thing, like getting two releases, and like one's gonna be better, but they'll both work. And like it's cool that you're making better versions of games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but like who's got the time to go back and replay those games? Plus, I would argue that if you had not done anything to those games and just ran them on this better hardware, it probably would have alleviated a lot of the issues as far as frame rate stuff. Like maybe you wouldn't have the new texture packs, which is probably what they're going to be charging for. But all of it to me is just leading to a picture of confusion for the average consumer. And
mhm.
again, that perceived value of like they're just giving me what I already have. And I think that's going to be a problem for this thing, for the casual audience.
Yeah. I mean, it's you expect something new with Nintendo. You know, there's something even when it doesn't work quite the way I mean, like 3DS, 3D, you
Right.
turned it off after a while, you know, but it was something new, and that's it was very much just another DS, but it had that extra thing where you could tell it was new. Where this is, I mean, are the cartridges? Are you going to be able to put a Switch 2 cartridge in a original Switch? Are they going to have
I
like a
mean, it would
nub on it?
fit, right?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, because what's the difference? The Switch 2 cartridges are red and the old ones are black. Is it
Hmm.
the distinguisher?
There's probably like a
Yeah.
nub or something, just like the 3DS kind of had on a, or didn't go in a
Beep 'em out.
DS. But yeah, I don't. The fact there wasn't much crossover between that stuff,
Yeah.
where this seems like there's going to be lots of crossover, and I just don't know who is buying the ultimate packs for like Tears of the Kingdom and Kirby and all this extra stuff for
Yeah.
$80 when for the most part a large chunk of your audience who would buy that game has already bought it and played it.
Right. When I saw some rumor, and I don't know if there's any truth behind it, but I saw a post that like a lot of those upgrades will be baked into Nintendo Switch Online. If you're paying for that, which if
Mm,
that's the case, like that's a smart
sure.
way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like yeah, that Kirby one's a perfect example. Great game, but like this stuff, like we just paid for this stuff, and like the updates to Mario Party Jamboree, like I just bought that game. Like, well, why are you trying to sell me in another version already?
Right. Yeah.
And one that mostly just relies on the gimmicks of your stupid camera. Like I played iToy. Like I'm
Yeah.
familiar with how this works. Like
Yeah.
remember the iToy?
25
No,
years ago.
nobody does.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason. Yeah, and then the other thing I guess is like, oh, the GameCube stuff, which is cool, right? The GameCube coming to Switch Online exclusively for the Switch 2 is nice. And they've got some heavy hitters. You got Wind Waker right away, but like, I don't know, like, isn't the ultimate version of Wind Waker now the one on the Wii U? Like, can
Hmm.
I really go back to the old? Like, why would I? I'd much rather play the Wii U
Yeah.
version. I mean, I guess if it's included for free, it's a bonus, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It looked like that library was going to expand into a bunch of what are now incredibly expensive physical games. So it's nice to give them some life that way, I guess.
Yeah. And apparently they're not planning on remaking them like the Paper Mario. Otherwise they wouldn't be putting them out like this.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I wonder, with GameCube being like longer games like that, are they worried about how much time they take up? Where it's like, oh, somebody could buy this and just play GameCube games and be happy and not buy normal games because they take up, more time than a retro game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Because they're just modern enough where they're still like extremely playable. Whereas
Yeah.
even like something like Ocarina of Time is obviously one of the greatest games and pretty long in itself, but it's not something you're really going to spend a whole lot of time with, Again, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in that launch announcement that got me questioning.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah, the Kirby Air Ride is the ender. Was that really a good pitch? Like, one, who played Air Ride and
Mm,
remembers it?
mhm.
And like, why now? I guess is my question.
That almost seems like the Smash Brothers guy wanted to do that. Like, why would you bring that back and have him do that?
Sure.
It just seems like he wanted that must be a passion pitch from him. I think the thing that really like bowled me over about like, oh, this is different. This is beyond, the 450 price. You could say, oh, it's tariffs, whatever. But when you make a software that is basically a tutorial for your console
Yeah.
and then say it's paid, that's the part where I'm like, oh, they're just squeezing money. I think like it gives a sour
Yeah.
taste before even the price of the thing even came out.
Yeah, that was right. The price has been confirmed that it's gonna be 9.99. But yeah, the fact that they basically like built their own version of Astro's Playroom, but then like, yeah, you can't have it. You got to pay for it. Is like the most head scratching thing. Just don't understand.
Astro's Playroom had a lot of awesome PlayStation stuff in it. This is literally just
Yeah.
cardboard standees telling you about the Switch that you just bought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it is interesting. It should be just built in 100%. I don't quite get that choice. Yeah, I didn't there was nothing really, other than I mean, really that's the thing that gets me is like outside of that Mario Kart, it was a lot of just here's what we're porting or remastering for you from Nintendo and then yeah, they had a lot of good third party support, but it was all just like versions of already released games, which I mean is going to happen, but the fact that there really wasn't one killer launch day third party game like exclusive, it's kind of crazy.
yeah. What was it? Would it be Mario Kart? Was that launch? I
Yeah.
think it's a yeah. I mean
Yep.
that's pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty big, but like where's the third party one? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like where's the third party exclusive?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
nothing
maybe that's
nothing
just the
there.
thing. Like third parties don't generally do those exclusives anymore. They're always multi-plat, but like even just like on Switch 2 first, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was
Um
kind of interesting to see that Hot Shots Golf is coming to a Nintendo console. That was cool.
yeah. They must be I always thought they were first party PlayStation, but they must not
Yeah,
be.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The I mean, we can talk about the DRM stuff. That's just stupid. Like, just if your account is on a thing, just have have the games available to you. And then the introduction of the game keys. Did you see those? Where they're basically instead of like switch some games now are like a download code inside of a
Okay.
package. It's going to be a cartridge that just basically authorizes the download. So I'm guessing that's to prevent theft of keys, being able to see keys or something like that. I don't know what it even is, but
So
the
will you need to keep it in your system after you
I
download it
think
then?
so. Yeah. I
I mean, I guess it's not different than like what the main consoles are doing, right? And
right.
in the fact that it's just installing, but
But the fact that
interesting.
the games that they've announced that are in this thing already are pretty small games. So it's got me pretty terrified that this might become the norm and there's not going to be any game data actually on these cartridges after a while.
Well, and what does that do from a cost perspective? Because that's like the thing is like those cartridges always cost money. So like, are these indie games now going to go up $10 because they're on the Switch too?
Well, that was happening one way or the
Yeah,
other anyway, but
yeah. I'm curious on some of the stuff they haven't gotten into too, and maybe they have in like some of the stuff they've released post that. But like, are we finally going to get themes on the console? Are they going to pull their heads out of their asses and
mhm.
like actually give us an eShop that isn't just a giant abomination? I don't know.
Yeah,
I was going to treat myself and this is going to be the first console I was going to buy at launch to I don't think I'm getting it at launch. I don't know when I'll get it. I'm honestly not too excited about it currently. Oh well, and also just the state of what's happening outside of this is almost certainly going to impact US gamers and our wallets with this stuff being sold to us, which is a whole other layer of bullshit to deal with.
right. As it sits right now, 450 is a hell of a deal from
Yeah.
what it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not happy with the price they announced, but
When it's
it
750, you'll be like, man, that 450 sounded pretty sweet.
I and if the world becomes to that, I'm not going to be worried about a video game console or Nintendo at that point. There's going to be a lot of other
Yeah.
problems, but
Exit strategies to consider.
yeah.
401ks to kiss goodbye.
Canada might be cheaper. They might have. We'll just run up there, get a Switch.
Well, yeah. Well, I was Fraser had actually like messaged me and asked if it was true that they're delaying our pre-order, and he's like, "Well, if you need me to grab one for you," like,
They just delayed Canada's now too. They said
uh,
so.
I'm sure because they can't have us getting it later,
Yeah.
and then yeah, guilt by proximity, huh?
Yep. What a
And that is the
world.
other thing too. Is like, man, like I get why the price gap again because of the tariff thing in the global economy. I get why there's that big price gap or some price gap between like what it retails for in Japan versus the rest of the world, but like this is a big price gap this go around. I mean, not the multi-language version, but you know, the Japanese exclusive language version is like $140 less, which is
Yeah.
it's a big chunk of change.
And that's the original launched at 250, was it? Or was it 300?
I think it was three.
Okay. But I mean, you got
But I did
you,
check that because I was curious, and it was less in Japan, but it was like a $50 price difference. You know,
sure.
it wasn't like what this is. So
And then you had the light, which is like basically $200, and the at 450, there's you'd be hard pressed to find a household that has more than one Switch. Whereas
yeah,
I think,
and I think that price point isn't like I'm going to get one for each of my children. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
exactly. It's
you
just
wouldn't
not
want
going
to
to
deal with
happen.
young kids, right? And at that price point, you're also making this the Steam Deck look pretty attractive
Hmm.
because your base model of the Steam Deck, which you can upgrade the memory on anyway, is right there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's close enough that especially if you're already in that Steam ecosystem, and if you're any good with emulators, you can do all this Switch Online stuff anyway.
Yep.
You know,
And what can you
yeah.
buy for $80 on Steam?
What I mean, Jesus, $80 on Steam.
Yeah.
You'd have like 45 games. Yeah. Sure, excuse me while I yawn. I'm again being critical of this, but I know I'll end up buying one at some point. But it kind of has taken the wind out of my sails as far as like early adoption. That probably won't happen for me. I've still got plenty of legs in the back catalog on my Switch that will keep me happy for a while.
Yeah.
I probably won't. No, that's not true. I probably will. Let's say I won't buy Metroid until I get the Switch 2, but I'll probably buy it just because I think the Switch version's gonna be somewhat rarer. Maybe not. It might actually sell more than the Switch 2 version, to be honest.
Yeah, I would bet on that. If you're looking for rare, the Rhythm Heaven and the Tomodachi Life, like those two are gonna be extreme
Yeah.
collectibles, I think, at one point. But that the Metroid game did not look like the psychic powers that they were showing. I was kind of like turned off on that, where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I almost hate to say it too, but like the fact that the graphical fidelity was that high just made it feel like not a Nintendo game. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I was like,
yeah,
oh, this is like a Halo game now. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, I don't. I'm sure that will be good though.
yeah.
Although it could be hit or miss. I mean, the development cycle has been not great on that one. I mean,
The
it's
15-year
been in
development.
development the entire life of the Switch. So yeah. So you are definitely a wait and see on this.
I I think so. I don't know. I might just get a hair up me that, Mario Kart. I really want to play the new Mario Kart.
Yeah.
There might be some external factors pressuring me on that front as well. But I think I'm going to try and hold off on it because at least until holiday, see what the landscape looks like at that point.
Yeah. I think that's where I'm at with you. And then to wrap the show out, so last episode, our 200th, we got a bunch of questions. Um, our buddy Brandon sent one in, but he missed the recording mark just barely. I figured we could touch on it this
Yeah.
episode. Um, so he's just got one question for us. He's like, "What's your favorite game, movie, etc. that you discovered from either Byron Byrne or recommendations from each other?" He went on to say he really enjoyed Saturday the 14th after we talked about it, and he'd never heard of it before. Um, oh, he does another question here. Um, but yeah, I don't know what is the if you say rubber, I'm gonna slap you.
I think there's lots of pretty good stuff that sticks around. Rubber is one that sticks around in my head. But something like Turbo Kid, uh,
Yeah,
I think of every once in a while as well. It's just one of those. How how has nobody heard of this? It's kind of under the radar. And a lot of the music stuff. I mean, Wicked Bears is probably one of my favorite, and Cliff Diver, both of those things that you've recommended on this show that I've got totally hooked on those two different bands. So,
yeah. And I've listened to quite a bit of the Sword since you recommended that too. Um, Growl always sticks out to me just because like
yeah,
never heard of it, I'd never played it. Just like was giddy with joy while playing it.
yeah,
So like I still love that one. Honestly, more recently, like that Space Truckers, like one that we just happened across. Like that's a pretty amazing shitty movie. And obviously Saturday the 14th has been a highlight.
yes.
I genuinely love that one. Like no joking.
I
Yeah, it's a,
I think there's, you know, we have to find reasons to find stuff like that, which obviously sometimes doesn't work out. Some of the stuff is actual crap and should be buried. but but yeah, just having a reason to find that stuff uh is kind of entertaining because you come across it then. Because I guarantee you I would never watch any of this stuff
yeah,
if we didn't have this in mind to do something around it.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it kind of like forces your hand into looking for weird and wacky stuff. And yeah, like you said, 9 times out of 10 it fails, but sometimes you get some real good hits.
Yeah.
Um, so he ends it with then the most important question for Ryan: what do you hate more, the N64 or Garfield? Oh, I don't know. Probably the N64, I guess.
How did they not make a
A
N64
Garfield
Garfield game?
game. Yeah, he was in a lull then. It
Yeah.
wasn't like an animated series or a movie. I probably hate the N64 more. Sure. I can tolerate a little Garfield.
Huh. 60. Hmm, that's a tough question though.
Yeah. My irrational hatred of things is held strong over the years that we've podcasted. So I haven't flinched on either one.
Have we done a 64 game that you bought, do you think? Enjoyed?
Well, I like that Shadow Man one that we did.
Yeah.
I thought that was. I mean, controls were awful. I think maybe touching on the remaster would be the way to go. But like,
Blast Core was good. I like that one.
yeah, they're just all so like shitty. You know what I mean? Like they control like shit. The graphics haven't aged well. I just I just have no nostalgia for that console, and it's just like I can play PlayStation games now because I have nostalgia for them. I don't think they've held up any better. Well, control wise, maybe most games. But
If
like
they have the analog, yeah,
right,
for sure.
right. But like yeah, 64 is just like it never resonated with me. Even playing the demo of Mario 64,
Huh.
like it just didn't. And Mario Kart is just like, what is this? Just never did it for me.
That surprises me. First time I saw Mario 64, it was, you know, I still was like, hopefully Knight kicks its
Right,
ass, but
right.
history did not look kindly on Knights. But
It's funny because yeah, I was the same way. Like I would play that Knights demo at Media Play over and over and over again. But if there was a 64 running something, I was like, nah, not doing it. 64 is gonna be on the downturn right now, right? Like popularity wise and like the retro scene, like we're kind of over
I,
that hump and onto the PlayStation 2. And
yeah, I mean, looking at prices and what was like, what I remember is PS2 stuff was like under the table, like
yeah,
just the $5
not in
box under the
glass
table.
cases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And certainly changed. I mean, GameCube was kind of like that way out of the chute just because it didn't sell that well, right? So
right.
all those games were the supply outweighed the demand on that. But yeah, PlayStation 2 is, I think that's the one. I mean, I think we're starting to get into Xbox 360 nostalgia
Yeah.
pretty heavy too. So
Well, it's the last Xbox console you have any legitimacy in being nostalgic for. So
or can actually get games for. Yeah.
yeah, I did notice like pricing on NES stuff was like all over the board. I saw Metal Storm for like $100, and then I would see people pricing it like $250.
Huh.
Just like I don't know what's going on here. So
Yeah, I haven't paid attention to that. I just, in the back of my head, I feel like the Atari crash is coming for NES games.
yeah,
It
I
has to be
agree.
happening pretty soon because I don't know who's going back and wanting those that haven't been through that cycle already. You know,
Yeah, yeah, we're 40 to 50, and then getting older by the day. So
yeah.
we'll be dying off, and no one will care.
Maybe like once we're into nursing homes, and then the nursing homes have to like source that.
Uh,
Maybe there will be a
I like
demand
your
again.
optimism that there will be nursing homes
We're not
or
going to
the
die in the
money to pay
street.
for them in the future. That might be off the table for our generation. Uh, some foreshadowing. We'll just be like homeless in a tent with like a CRT TV and a cord that we've like jacked off of like a fucking street lamp somewhere.
Yep. And that's our source of heat. It's the CRT.
Yes. Well, and sharing a sleeping bag.
Yep.
You and I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. This is how
our
this.
wives will be long gone by
Yeah.
then, so we'll just have to,
We're gonna have one microphone at that point. We're gonna just.
and like it doesn't connect to anything. We're just senile. So like we're just podcasting to nobody inside of our sick
uh,
room and shitting our pants. It's gonna be great. Oh, all right. Well, this cold is knocking me out, so we might as well wrap it up,
Yep.
eh?
Yeah, you this is episode 201. We're on our way to the next 100.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course we got some great emails with a bunch of questions, but if you have any questions anytime you uh have it on your head, you can send it to us at weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Blue Sky. You can reach us over there. And yeah, till next time, be kind, rewind.
Bananas.
Bonanza.
Bonanza. Ponderosa.